Namaste. Welcome to Inspiring Women. Our guest for today's episode of Inspiring Women is Deborah Dorman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could you tell us something about yourself?
Well, where do I begin? You know the old saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And every kid hears that question. And when I heard that question as a youngster, I had this very strange answer that no one seemed to understand, and I didn't even understand it. I said, I want to be love. And I didn't really even understand what that even meant, but I just knew there was something inside of me that loved people, that loved animals, that loved flowers and birds. And I just found a way that love has guided me through my whole life. In having professions, I've had several things I've done in my life professionally, but now at this point in my life, I've come back to the profession really being love. Well, love to me has to do with feeling spirit, feeling the divine. God is in everything, and spirit is in everything. And when I walk around in my day, and spirit is love to me. So therefore, everything that I am living and breathing and seeing and participating with in life is just a reflection of that love. So therefore, it's not an activity of loving someone or receiving love. It's more a presence of being, just being love, as I see everything around me as a part of spirit, as a part of a oneness that I feel that I'm part of.
I have a background of my studies in social work. So when I went to the field, I worked with people. There was a certain time when I felt like I wanted to change the world. And then I figured out it was not possible. While that realization was something very important to me, it also made me feel really sad. So sometimes in the process of wanting to love others, wanting to help others, I feel burnt out. Does that happen to you?
Yes, that's probably one of the biggest issues for people in service is self-care and the lack of it. We tend to love ourselves, but we will love others more at some times when we need to love ourselves more. Making the time for ourselves. It could be, whatever it is. If we feel that we are falling behind with our own energy and our own inner peace, then it's time to relook at how we're allotting our time to ourselves and to others and putting more in the basket of ourselves. So I know when I was in seminary, there was a lot talked about this, that self-care is the most important thing because we cannot be good to anyone. We can't be any good to anyone if we are not truly standing from a grounded place, comfortable in our bodies and ourselves, breathing properly, and ready to take on the world. So it's frustrating, but I think one of the other things I've learned is that vision of wanting to, help the world. That's Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. That's like being someone who likes to hike in a few hills and say, I want to climb Mount Everest. It takes just decades of experience, of mountaineering, of falls, of not making it, of disappointments, of reaching the tops, all these different things. It takes time. So it's better to not try to climb the mountain at once and maybe just put one foot in front of the other. And how can I change the world in that step? And then put another foot in front of the other. And how can I change the world in that step? It all adds up to something much larger. But you're doing it at a pace and with an ease that fits you being able to care for yourself, me being able to care for myself, because I've been burned out more times than I haven't. Mm-hmm. I've gotten to the place in different projects that I've been in where I wasn't sleeping. The pressure was just too great. And that there were times where I had to back out of projects because I knew that if I went any further, even though I could see the top of the mountain, it might kill me. Mm-hmm. So there's important choices we have to make along the way. And it's really not about saving the world. It's about, doing what we can to create change little by little. It all adds up. And then one day something comes your way and you are ready to take on something big. And surprise, surprise, you have done something major for a multitude of people that you could never imagine. Mm-hmm. So building it little by little and then being open to receive greater things as it comes when you're ready, when the universe says you're ready, just be ready.
For me, there's actually a confusion between two different concepts. The one that says keep pushing yourself, keep going till you reach, and the other one that says your self-care, your mental state is more important than you pushing yourself to get somewhere. So stop when you feel like you need to stop. So what ideology do you go with?
When I go after things with letting them happen, allowing things to happen, allowing things to come to me. Oftentimes I have pushed so hard on things, but you know what? I made things happen. I have a child that says there should be a phone number, 1-800-DebMakesItHappen.com, right? Or whatever it is, DebMakesItHappen.com. And I realized, I thought, wow, that is really cool. Thank you. That means a lot to me. But boy, did I reach the place to say, no, that is not it at all. It's Deb lets it happen. And Deb lets things come to me instead of me going out, picking this and picking that and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to wrap my arms around and make that happen. Because I feel that I've watched my husband he found the love of what he loves to do, helping people, being a one-on-one coach with people to try to help them become better in their lives, with their relationships, with their business, with their business partners and coworkers. And he's done it with a lot more ease when we sink into what we're naturally supposed to be doing, and the things find us that we're naturally supposed to be partaking in. I think the flow is there. I think it's all about the flow. And if you're constantly battling what you're doing, the flow might be just a little off. It may not be exactly what it's supposed to be. You could be close, but just take a step back and really see how you truly feel about it. Listen to your heart. Your heart knows everything.
You're the mother of 3 wonderful young ladies. How has the motherhood experience been like for you?
I'm a mother until I take my last breath. And just because they're not little kids anymore doesn't mean they're not issues, problems, needs. But I will say it's absolutely the most fulfilling thing, because there is nothing like the love a mother has for a child. And I didn't even know that much love was possible. There's something really amazing about, no matter how many mistakes I make, and I've made many, and we talk about them, now they're adults, and I apologize to them and say, if you need me to come to a therapist with you and work things out, whatever it takes, I know the things that I did that weren't cool, or mistakes I've made, and I'm just so sorry. I wish I could do it again, but I'm always here for you. And I think even those moments of your kids seeing you in your admitting of your own failures with them lets them see an honest life lived. And I think that'll go a long way with them too. But no matter what, how bad it is, how much goes wrong, they love you like they love nothing else. They love you like they love no one and nothing else.
Your habit, that feeling of loving people, was there in you from the very, very beginning.
Very beginning.
And now that it's been so many years, do you think your definition of love has changed or has evolved?
I think of love and I just think of joy. I think of bliss. I think of those moments are different. You can have love and they can have different levels of bliss and joy. So it's a grid, it's a graph, it's a constant moving around. But love to me is just, again, when I see spirit in nature. I look at nature and I see God. I look at a child, I see the same thing. When I see an animal or birds singing or a mountain with snow or looking at you, even when I have people in my life that I don't get along with or that I don't agree with, because I get along with everybody pretty much. But there's people I don't agree with. There's a lot of things going on in the United States that I don't agree with. And I can get caught up into that mentality. And that takes me so far away from being a loving person. And I ask myself, why do I want to do that? And so therefore I readjust myself and I begin to say, well, that person that I really don't agree with, they're just another soul like I am. We're just here on this planet Earth having this life, which is challenging like I am. We're really one and the same. We just have different paths that we're on. And when I break it down like that, I just see them as another me, which makes the love and the acceptance and the non-judgment, the judgment goes out the window. So it's like again, I've walked so many steps in this life so far that I just think they've all added up to right now. So I'm at a point now where I can sit and talk about a lot of this and have the experience of having these moments where I felt just that I'm face to face with God. And it just takes time. And I think it's just my path. Like I said, my sister wanted to be a lawyer when she was like 5 years old. Like, how did she know what a lawyer is? She's 68 years old and she's still in the courtroom every single day. I just wanted to be loved. So here I am. And my family was a very volatile family, and I didn't have tough enough skin to withstand it. But I found that just remaining in that place of love, even in my attempt to have them settle down in their volatility, I would go in and, just be different than the energy that was in the room. And I found that it had its effect. It had its effect. It was not a slam dunk, but that's all I knew how to do. That's all I knew. That's the way I knew how to cope. So it's sort of been it's the fabric of who I am. I probably, it started way before I was born, is how I kind of feel. It's just too much a part of me in looking back and seeing how it's been interwoven in the cloth of my life on every level all these years. I can only look back now and say that while it's happening, I couldn't, but now I can.
There are certain things that you'd like to do in life as a person, and you want to do it, but you have a lot of people telling you, oh, no, that's not possible, you should not do that, you should not do this. And even though I know this is what I want to do, I'm a bit demotivated to do it. So in that case, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Well, no one's ever been able to talk me out of anything that I've felt that way about, ever. And I've butted a lot of heads with people and family members and my children and my husband and my family and in life. But the other part of me that's melted into the beautiful cloth that I'm woven of is I'm fearless. Okay, luckily my sister says I'm fearless but not reckless. But I am known for just jumping off the cliff and somehow trusting that if my voice is telling me to jump off that cliff, that it's going to supply me with the wings before I hit the ground. And I jump. Now, and usually when I do that, it takes me to very high places. And I have unbelievable, I can think of very few times where I've just spontaneously done that. And it's been a really hard lesson because they did nearly kill, things did nearly just take me way down to a place where it was going to be hard to turn myself back around. But I'd say overall, I think that you have to take risks in life. And even when my husband first started his business, we started it together because together I knew that I could support him in ways and be home with kids that we could do this and he could do his dream. But he used to call me his cliff jumping coach. Deb, come sit down. I need some cliff jumping coach help. And I just think even with my children, I'm so big, have always been, take a risk, go for it. Whatever happens, you're going to learn from it. There's always, be curious, ask a lot of questions, dive right in. So if you truly believe there's something that you want to do and you feel it with every ounce of you, I say do it. I don't know if anybody who's going to be watching this is going to what did you say that for? But, who knows better what is your purpose in this life than you? And sometimes you can get into it a little bit and start diving into it and say, you know what, maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I need to think this differently. Maybe I need to get more of a structure of something first before I really jump in. But don't give up the love that you have to do something, because anything and everything is always possible. And there's magic. Life is full of magic. And the more you experience the magic of taking those risks and having great rewards, then you start to believe that there's magic everywhere, and it begins to happen over and over and over again. I know this sounds corny, right? But I truly believe in magic because it's just too much if it's happened to me.
In South Asia, for a lot of women, motherhood means, oh my God, now you're a mother, you take care of your children, and that's your entire life. And you have nothing else in your life apart from your children, your husband, and your family. So for them, motherhood means forgetting everything about themselves and just being about their family, their kids. And that tends to scare a lot of new mothers a lot. Did you ever experience that in your life?
I was really fortunate that I wanted to have kids. I had already had my own business as a clothing designer in New York City when I married my husband. So I knew that I could help him build a business and also be able to be home with my kids. So we had an office in the house, and I did everything that needed to be done. And then the office moved out of the house, and I still did everything that needed to be done until it got to the point where I didn't need to do anything and he could have other people. but my kids were already older at that time. So I was really lucky to be able to be at home, get help when I needed. Like, we were very fortunate. We had a woman live with us for 22 years who was like a very, very important family member. We all needed her. This wasn't just for children. This was for me. I needed her. My husband needed her. We all needed her. And so I was always doing something. I was always volunteering and doing important work out in my community. I was always involved, always working. So it wasn't that I had to give all that up, but I still was able to be with my children. I think that in the United States, women working and raising kids is very normal. My best friend in Princeton, she was a nurse, and she started a program in the high schools and the middle schools in Princeton, New Jersey, where we lived. And, I remember going to her house one day, and her 6-year-old was writing the grocery list. So everyone learns to chip in, and everyone learns to take part in how to have the family be a family. You don't have to give everything up. I think that times have changed. I loved the work I did. I loved being the chairs of auctions that raised money for great causes. And it was really big. They were like full-time jobs sometimes. It was a full-time job being a manager for my oldest daughter's soccer team and managing 16 families. No matter what it was, there was always work, and it always took me away from just the drudgery of the day-to-dayness of what a mother has. But again, like I said, when you have a kid, see the things that kids bring to life, let's look at the other side now. What you're giving up to go, that you have to give up your life to have kids. When you're with a child, it really gives the inner child in you a chance to come alive again. And I know for me at this age, that's what I'm doing right now. We're looking at old movies that we took of our children 35 years ago, and we had them all put on the big television on the iCloud. And I'm sitting there watching them as little kids, and I'm actually learning now from watching those movies what I have to adjust in my life to be that little kid again. Have that reminder of how to spark myself, to be excited at the littlest thing, to pay such close attention to what I'm doing, because for a child, all there is what they're doing in that moment. Watching that on the screen, watching the crazy creativity of my middle daughter, who locked herself in a bathroom with a friend, and when we finally got her out, they were 7 years old, they'd taken permanent markers and completely scribbled over their entire faces. But these are these crazy, wonderful moments of having kids. So you want to have them to be able to experience all that, but you also want to have your life. And there was one very poignant day where my youngest daughter, my husband was like, saw me working so hard on this project I was working for this organization. And he really was like, I don't know that you need to be doing all this. This is too much to do this and this and that. And then they drove off just in caring for me, but not understanding that this meant too much to me. Also, I needed to do this. So my 5-year-old daughter, when they went to soccer practice, sat in the car and told him, Dad, it's really important for Mom to do other things other than just taking care of us. And she told him that, and I'll never forget that day. But I think that even the kids know that it's really good for the moms to go out and have a life. They want you to. In fact, they want to see you do that. And that we need to empower them to make those choices for themselves. We have to teach them how to do self-care, because women are the known caretakers. They're the nurturers. And sometimes they even want to take care of Jeff and I too much. So we have to make sure they understand how to take care of themselves as well and put themselves first, because it's a really important lesson, especially for girls. But you can have it all.
Do you think there's anything that's called the work-life balance?
I just saw something on Instagram a few days ago, and it talked about, if you think that your work life and your personal living life is a 50-50, and that's the balance, there's a lot of people that say that that's not what the balance is. So it really depends on what balance do you want. Because I think that I know for Jeff and myself, I think we were just always thinking balance is work 5 really, really hard days a week and try to find some time on the weekend to mellow out and chill. And I don't think that's balance. We're now, as he's lightening his load and letting some clients go, it's very interesting to see him with time now. and how much he's enjoying that time and understanding this is what I would do with my time. So it's somewhere between when you're beginning your work life and your adventure to change the world, and where you take that moment where you're never going to stop, because none of us are ever going to stop what we're doing. I still believe the best is yet to come. The most incredible project or opportunity is going to arrive to me. But I do know now more than ever that if I've got to have my hikes in, I've got to have my health food and my good cooking and my healthy lifestyle. That's very, very important to me. Have to have my Qigong classes, my meditation, my water aerobics to help my body stay, healthy. So at this point in my life, the balance is completely the other way. I'm going to have to make sure I create more time for myself, because at this point in my life, I need more self-care. And the balance of work will be a lot less. So it moves and it's organic. It can even be during a year, you could be working on this project, and then the next thing you know, you have 3 months off. And you go and you fulfill yourself and refuel yourself in that way. You can design it however you want if you're doing your own thing, if you're not working for another company. Mm-hmm. So there definitely has to be balance. I would say self-care is just the most important thing. Self-care, self-reflection, quiet time, going inside, listening to the voice, all that takes time. Doesn't take a lot though. So if you can learn how to plug that in every given day for a few minutes here and there, I think you can move mountains. You can move mountains.
Thank you for this amazing conversation, this reflective session.
Thank you.
And it was an honor having you here in the show today.
And thank you so much. It was an honor. I so appreciate that you would want to have me on your show and have this beautiful conversation. I wish you only the best.
We will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, hope you have a great week ahead. Namaste.